And this Pat Mahomes guy, I told you guys in the group chat, I have some thoughts on him. He swears, just got a very foul mouth, not a good role model for kids. He doesn't take coaching. He doesn't listen to coaches. When they tell him to go get x-rays, no, has a tantrum when he actually goes in, chucks his coat down. Kids are watching. Be an example. Set an example for them. Not coachable. You never see him hardly ever interact with Eric Bieniemy. He only talked to Andy Reid and Matt Nagy. And just he's not what the media portrays him to be. He's not this goody two-shoes guy. He's just not a good role model for kids.
All right, Skip. When can I hear Dylan talk?
Yeah, that sounded pretty lame.
Is Skip Bayless in the room? If he is, I'd like for him to leave because I do not like Skip.
And if he was a true competitor, he wouldn't have done this show, but he has to make sure, see how everybody thinks how great he is. Well, joke's on you, Patrick. You didn't fool this guy.
Ridiculous.
But no, I hate to say this, but the way you see Pat Mahomes carry himself, the way he acts, his competitiveness, that fire. Oh, he also hates dogs. So there's also that.
Yeah, that is a legit red flag that we cannot get past.
Skip doesn't like dogs?
No, Pat Mahomes doesn't.
No, that's
Really?
a red flag that we cannot get behind.
That's ridiculous.
Actually, no, he was just. Well, you don't remember like the opening scene of him when Brittany is getting interviewed, and all of a sudden you can hear him screaming at the dogs because his dogs were barking with the neighbors' dogs.
Mm-hmm.
God.
So the master of spin zone right here, but actually, no, I thought it was really cool to kind of see the in-depth looks of what they're like as family met with their family. You could definitely tell that family means a lot to all three of those guys. And just the way Pat conducts himself, that competitiveness and how much he's loved by his teammates and how hard he is on himself and how much he pushes himself, how hard he works. It's something that you see with all the legends, and he's one of a kind. He's unique. Probably will go down as the second greatest quarterback of all time. Kirk Cousins was. It was cool to see him with his family. How much that, and then just kind of the season. I thought it was interesting how he talked about how it takes 8 to 10 weeks, and how, that week 2 against Philly when they were playing the Eagles, and it was after I think he threw an interception. He came off. He said, "Oh, that's my bad. I should have checked to a run." And Kevin, seeing that relationship between Kirk and Kevin O'Connell develop and continue to grow throughout the year, I think that's going to show, and I think it's going to benefit him this year when there is still some question marks. This is not new for Kirk, what he's going into this year, where he's going into a bit of a lame duck year where he doesn't have a contract with Minnesota after the season. And he's had to do it before, and he played really well. We're going to see if he's able to do that. And then you see Mariota, who was in a very unique situation where it was also kind of a lame duck year for him, where it was just kind of a stopgap year of sorts for whether if they were going to go with Desmond Ritter, or try to get a quarterback in the draft. And seeing all the seeing what he went through, his wife was having a baby, and then he also ends up getting benched and dealing with a knee injury. But I thought it was great. I can't wait for season 2.
I just thought it was interesting. Like, I loved it, first. But just how different leadership each one of the guys had. And I think they really tried to showcase that. Like, Mariota seemed very quiet. Like, he would break down the huddle and everything. But other than that, he just seemed like a very quiet leader. I mean, he goes and does his thing, don't get me wrong. He does lead the team, but it's just a very quiet. Where Kirk gets a little louder, voices his opinion a little bit more. But he's also just got that dad in him. So he's more like motivational than like
he gets
yelling.
high strung. He
Yes.
has those high strung moments where he emotional, and then where Pat is
just goes nuts.
he's poised.
Yeah.
Yeah, he keeps for the most part keeps us cool. I was being facetious when I was talking about him throwing a tantrum, but for the most part, he has that calmness about him. He understands when he makes a mistake and says, "I got to fix this."
Yeah, it's just I thought they did really well. They picked 3 guys that were all at very different points of their career. You got the backup, you got the well above average starter, and you got the star. So just how they each live their lives, how different, like that you can see how they are viewed by their team. Like Patrick's like the guy. Like everyone at that team looks to Patrick. Like a lot of the Vikings look to him too, but they also have other leaders that like are stars like JJ, like those type of things. But like Mahomes just had a different. I don't know, he just had a different vibe. Like the team was like, it's Mahomes or nothing, or we're fucked. Where the other teams maybe didn't feel like that.
Well, and I also think they did a nice job of kind of almost tying in, like culturally, where these guys are from, and just their different backgrounds in life. Marcus, being from Hawaii, the Pacific Islander, very calm, cool, collected. He's not going to overreact to things. He's going to let things come to him. He's always in the moment with there. And Kirk, with his dad being his high school coach, very meticulous, detailed. I'm going to do everything I can to be the best. I'm not, I'm not going to be the rah-rah guy, but when I have to tell my team that it's time to go, it's time to go. And Patrick, you could tell he's been in the locker room his whole life with his dad playing in the majors, where, he was like Ethan said, he's the guy. When he was down in that Indianapolis game, when he missed a couple shots in the end zone, the offense and that team played below his level. When he was on, like what he was on in Tampa Bay, when he did the spin white around Devin White and then hucked it to Hilaire at the back of the end zone, when they went to Hardman and, Juan Thornhill on the sideline said, that's the Madden stuff right there. You just, at that point, you knew that game was over because that team knew that quarterback was locked in and nobody was going to stop him that day. So kind of just to piggyback on what Ethan said, they did a nice job picking up on just where these guys are from and how their upbringing kind of matched their leadership styles with that too. And that was really cool to see.
Well, and you look at like Kirk Cousins talk about how when he was going into like junior high or something, they asked, what his goal, his number one goal was to be an all-state quarterback. And now he's one of the highest paid quarterbacks. And at the time when he signed with the Vikings, had the richest quarterback, signed the richest contract in NFL history.
Isn't that crazy to think that 5 years ago, a contract with a total value of $84 million, 84 was the highest in NFL history. Now, on average annual value, you got Herbert, Hurts, and Lamar making 50. 5 years later, isn't it crazy?
Yeah. And it's only climbing. It's only climbing because I bet you a Burrow deal is going to be done here in the next couple of weeks. Justin Herbert, he just got signed as well. But
really, once you think about it, once Burrow gets done, there's really no quarterbacks who need deals anytime soon. Like Trevor Lawrence, eventually, if he plays well.
He's a year away. Next year we'll be talking about him.
Yeah, but besides that, it's like
there's no real good guys.
There's no good guys. We got to wait for a couple of years to see what this past draft class does.
I mean, I think depending on how the season goes.
The other next one would be Tua. And he's probably with Trevor Lawrence just because of his injury history, and he's another concussion away from being out at least a month.
If not his career.
Yeah.
Well, I think Kirk, if he has a good year, the Vikings have a good year, he's going to get extended for probably another 2 years. Like they don't have anyone on that roster.
Yeah.
If they don't suck, they're not going to be in any position to go get a Williams or May. Like it's just not going to happen.
Yeah, because your point, Ethan, got Bo Nix over Kirk Cousins in mid-late first round. No, not a chance. Not a chance.
Nope.
Nothing
against
McCaffrey.
I mean,
JJ
He's got
McCarthy.
to prove a lot more. McCarthy, yeah, he's got to prove a
Yeah.
lot more to be first round, if you ask me.
And that's not saying anything bad about him. It's just those
No.
other two, being Drake May and Caleb Williams, they're dudes.
Yeah. Well, and you look at the offense that McCarthy plays in, which is such more of a run first offense. And when you have the two running backs they have, I wouldn't be shocked if early in the year that we'll try to see them throw the ball, air it out a little bit more, just to get used to it. But there's Michigan's still going to be a run first team. That's the identity of them. And that's who they are. And they can do it when they have to, but they don't. Less is more. But I also thought it was interesting, though, too, is how Pat Mahomes on the sideline, because it's always talked about, a lot of questions with why Eric Bieniemy doesn't get a head coaching job, why he can't, but you hardly ever saw him interact with Bieniemy at all. He was always visiting with either Andy Reid or Eric Bieniemy.
Or Matt Nagy.
Matt Nagy, excuse me. The only time you ever really saw, and maybe that's just how the film or the filmmakers made it that way, but outside of a couple of comments, like I got to quit turning the ball over, other than that, you didn't really see a lot of interactions between those two.
Well, but let's also not forget that Eric Bieniemy is a running back by nature. He was the running back coach for Adrian Peterson for the first 5 years of his career in Minnesota. And then he went to Colorado to be an offensive coordinator for a year. That didn't work out, but University of Colorado doesn't work out for a lot of coaches. And then Andy, when he got hired in Kansas City, hired Eric to be his running backs coach. And look at all the running backs at his time in Kansas City that he's pumped out who have been good players. Of course, you start with Jamal Charles, Charkandrick West for a couple of years, Spencer Ware, Damian Williams, Darrell Williams, Jet McKinnon coming off a couple of ACLs, Isaiah Pacheco. Eric Bieniemy is a running backs coach. Matt Nagy played quarterback at college at the University of Delaware. He's a quarterback. Andy Reid calls the shots. You want your head play caller talking to your quarterback. So it just works out that way, where Bieniemy knows more X's and O's for your running backs than your quarterback. So that's why Patrick's not going to talk to him on the sideline. And that's no shot against Bieniemy or Mahomes. That's just their expertise don't line up together.
Yeah, that could be it too. So I guess it'd be interesting. We're going to find out a lot more about Eric Bieniemy this season in Washington.
I was going to say, to your point, I think having Bieniemy, the fact that he's an offensive coordinator doesn't hurt him, but it doesn't help him that he's a running backs coach by nature. Because which position in this league is being ostracized? The running back position. All these old coaches who have never called plays before, who got head coaching jobs, what position did they play? They all played quarterback. Or they at least coached a quarterback before. So I think he kind of got penalized, I think, a bit by being a running backs coach. And also hear from other people around the league. He can maybe be a bit arrogant and a bit smug in his interviews, and I think that turned off some people too. But that's a different discussion to be had.
Yes. And yeah, now, and it's hard to not root for all these guys after watching it, because that's the one thing, depending on if you like whoever or you don't like, that it humanizes them. I think a person who came out great after this is Brittany Mahomes. She seems very likable, very friendly, like you could hang out with and understand why Patrick and them have such a special bond. Not very often do you get to see many people talk shit to Patrick, but she's not afraid to. She's going to run her mouth to him, and it's funny.
That dude escaped the friend zone from her. To maybe become the best quarterback of his generation, he had to escape the friend zone as a high school athlete. He's one of us. Patrick is one of us.
He won.
He won at the game of life.
It goes back to what I said originally, is the guy's just different. He has what is just stuff of legends.
You know, it's also funny. Another thing, this is the only thing that me and Pat Mahomes have in common, guys. The only thing right here. A hatred of taking pictures.
I agree.
That earlier after was it the week 2 game after they played the Chargers on Thursday. It was his birthday, and she wanted to take all sorts of different photos, and he's rolling his eyes. Oh my God, do we have to do this? Come on. And she goes, Patrick, I'm pregnant. The lighting's better over here. We need more pictures. He's like, really? I just want to be done with this. Come on. That was kind of funny.
That's usually how it goes. Is women always want their pictures. That's like going to like any family event, how the women want pictures. Nobody wants to take them, but usually I'm the one that ends up being the guy like, come on, let's round everybody up. Let's just get this done with to make them happy, because as long as they're happy, everything else is going to go smoothly. They want these for the memories. This isn't about us. Let's just get it done. Let's get it over with, and then we can go back and have fun. The more we fight, the longer it's going to take.
Oh, couldn't have said it any better myself, but you know what? My same stubborn way, I'm going to throw a fit. I'm not going to want to be there. I'm going to roll my eyes, and it's going to be the same song and dance.
Well, and usually like for like family pictures and stuff like family events where like you're going to look somewhat presentable. The ones that grind my gears is like the ones that like old people like to take where you're like just sitting there, or like you're sitting at the airport. You just look like garbage. You're tired. You're crabby, and they're like, smile. It's like, why are we taking pictures here? Like
it's like the photo. It's like the photo everyone has to take when they get done with their surgery, and they're like, surgery was a success, and you show up to people and they're like, oh, you look great. No, I don't.
No.
I just woke up from anesthesia. I don't feel good. I'm in a cast and in a wheelchair. Get that phone away from me.
The anesthesia is still strong.
It's still strong. I'm still kind of coming to my gears a little bit right now. Get that thing away from me.
Can we all just be happy Jackson Mahomes was like non-existent in this whole thing?
I'm glad you said that. How that was fantastic. He was there in every suite, but they never talked to him. They never put the limelight on him.
Because he raped a woman, so that might do something to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but also there was, I think, rumors before this year anyway that Patrick was telling him, hey, you got to calm down. Like, you're using my limelight to be an asshole in public, and we just can't do it. So that probably helped things too. But yeah, assaulting a girl outside of a Kansas City bar is not a good look either.
No, and then you go in like you own the place, because my last name's Mahomes. People need to just cater to me.
Yeah, hey, my big brother's Big Bad Patrick. I can do whatever I want. No, that's not how it works. But I don't know. Of all the episodes, guys, I honestly think my favorite one, or the one where I was most involved with, was how they all talk about how they do their recovery differently.
Yeah.
And the actual pounding that these guys take week in and week out. Kirk getting into the cold tub, right away, at least knee or waist deep, and bringing that chiropractor to his house, to iron out those kinks. Was it twice a week?
And something was, I think Monday and Friday, I believe.
Yeah, something he learned from Santana Moss.
Mm-hmm.
A long time ago in Washington.
Also a number 89, actually.
Yes,
Good thing you brought that up.
Yep. So, something just Kirk, that Santana played 13 years at the wide receiver position, and he had someone come home, and Kirk learned that, and he said, you know what, how can I be the best player I want to be? I'm going to call a local chiropractor and invite him to my house. Like I said, getting into the tub there, and then Patrick hiring his former trainer from Texas to move up and work out with them, 3 times a week in his off days to keep his body better. Because, earlier in his career, he mentioned he had a couple high ankle sprains that he felt like he didn't bounce back from. But ever since he hired his trainer and brought him up, he felt like he's been able to recover better. And if he has a small high ankle sprain or anything like that, it doesn't affect him. So and then Marcus, with his long lost, a friend he's had for a long time, he became a chef. He said, hey, you know what, dude, could I hire you and you be my personal chef to really make sure I'm getting this nutrition and vitamins throughout the week and I'm eating properly so I can play.
Was it Fridays, his McDonald's, or was it Monday?
I think it was
Mondays.
Monday or Tuesday McDonald's on the day off.
Yep. Yeah.
Tuesday breakfast.
Yeah, it's the McDonald's breakfast. Yep.
And that was the other thing is like how the mental aspect of it too, where Kirk Cousins says he doesn't do anything football related on Tuesdays at all. That was his one day escape that he felt that he needed to kind of just not have, because he feels that he needs to be involved, because I mean you are as a quarterback, you are for most of the day or during season you're at the facility for pretty much 18 hours a day, and that one day is just kind of your escape to get away from everything and be dad, be husband, take the dogs for a walk, take your kids to preschool, go to Barnes and Noble and look at books.
And talking about how when you're younger, you're reading how Dwayne Wade got to how he was an NBA All-Star and an All-NBA player and how you're trying to get there. And now when you're reading it as an adult, as a 34-year-old quarterback, you're reading how he took care of his body better. And maybe you're trying to pick up on some things that he did that can help improve your game. That was really cool. So he said, you read it, a 16-year difference, 14-year difference, and it changes your mindset when you're reading the book.
Yeah.
That was cool. But I'm with Kirk. I like how he just takes a Tuesday and doesn't do anything football related, because, we all have jobs in this world, and we're not professional athletes, so we get 2 days off a week. Well, the 2 days I'm not at work, guess what? I'm not thinking about work. And to your point, Dylan, when Kirk is working 75, 80 hours a week, you need one day to just not be football, because then I think sometimes with Kirk's brain, it works so much. Sometimes he can kind of overreact and overthink. You need that day to just kind of get away and decompress. Like he said, the Philadelphia game, first play of the game, they had a run called. He should have checked out of a pass because it was a bad look. It was still that new offense. Him and Kevin were still getting used to that relationship. And it was a bad play. He overthunk it, and it affected him the rest of the game. When you're thinking like that, sometimes you just need a day to just decompress and, be Kirk. Don't be Kirk Cousins. Yep. Just be Kirk.
Yep.
Yeah, and then the way he sends back how much he appreciates the fans and tries to write back a letter to everybody that sends him some sort of fan mail too. Mm-hmm. I thought that was really cool. And
how the hell did they get his address?
That's what I'm wondering.
I think they send it to the Vikings facility, and because you'll see that a lot too, where
they forward it.
They just put it in like his locker or something.
Oh,
probably.
Okay.
They might have mailboxes.
That would be my guess. Yeah, I think that's what it is.
That's wild.
So,
Also, another aspect that I really liked, in being in hindsight, watching quarterback after the season and after what the Chiefs did to the Niners in, week 7, when they put up 44 on the number 1 defense in the NFL. Patrick, he had to know going into that game, seeing how aggressive the San Francisco safeties were, where he could finally lick his chops and he could say, we're going to take this thing over the top, and we're going to go into their building and we're going to just absolutely thump them. It was kind of cool for him to finally admit that, hey, someone's being a little aggressive, and we're going to be able to go out here and have a little fun with these guys and just huck up a bunch of points on them in their building. It was kind of just like,
imagine
San Francisco, you're being a little aggressive here, a little too confident, D'Amico, and Patrick's going to pick you apart. And they did. After his first interception, they couldn't be stopped that day.
And the funny part is everybody thought after the Tyreek Hill trade, the Chiefs were not going to do anything. They were done. And then they were actually better offensively without him.
Mm-hmm. Well, you know what's crazy in that game, guys? That third and 20 in the fourth quarter when they were up by like 16 points when he hit Scantling for that 60-yard bomb? Who did Scantling beat in man coverage? Travarius Ward, a former Kansas City Chief, who always was a little, he never had the top end speed, and he could be a little grabby, But if you could get a clean release on him, he couldn't catch up to you. Other teams took advantage of that. And who do they take it out on? The former teammate. It was kind of just the icing on the cake that day. It's like, hey, we don't need Tyreek Hill. We're going to put up 44 on the best defense in the NFL in their place, and we're going to end this game against a former player of ours.
Yeah. And I think that that wraps up quarterback.